Hey guys, so today I want to talk about high-strength retinol products. I get asked this a lot. What is the highest strength retinol I can buy over the counter? I get asked it a lot more than you'd ever think. And I also hear a lot of people talking about high-strength retinol. Is this real? Like, a lot of retinols will advertise like 2.5% retinol. Is that real? 5% retinol, 6% retinol. And the truth is somewhere in between, in the middle of if these are really that high strength. So I thought I'd do some research on it and just present the facts to you in case you've been somebody asking about it or looking for high strength retinol. And I've also got some suggestions. So really quick, I just want to say I purchase all these products with my own money. I'll never waste your time with sponsors or ads or videos. So if you want to help support the channel, check out nobsbeauty.com. Join my Patreon community or click on the link below. And really quick, I just want to also mention my shoes match my pants. So my pants are this color. My shoes are that color. I had to mention it. I'm sorry. I'm such a dork. I love when my pants and shoes match. And it doesn't happen every day. So I wanted to point it out. Okay. So I've tried a lot of these high-strength retinols. And actually somebody even just commented about a few days later ago that they had tried something from Liliana Naturals, which advertised like a 2.5% retinol. They didn't notice any benefits really. So what can they try next? So a lot of these high-strength retinols I find have reviews from people saying, I didn't really notice any benefits. But if a retinol is 2.5%, you should notice benefits. And they also didn't notice any like irritation or things like that because retinols that are like 1% can be very irritating. One that is talked about quite often is the Shani Darden Retinol Reform. But a lot of times these high-strength retinols are advertised by like no-name brands that people haven't heard of very much. Insta Naturals, Art Naturals, Face Me, Alver Skin, Amara Beauty, Eva Naturals, Liliana Naturals, the brand Youth. They're not so much no-name, but not huge brand. Also has them. And I've heard from a lot of people that have tried these no-name brands, or not famous brands, that say they don't notice results. They didn't have any irritation, which is great, but they didn't really notice any benefits. So it's not uncommon these days to see retinol products marketed at a percentage of 2.5% or even 5%. And I will say out of all the high-strength retinols, there is one that is actually, in my opinion, probably true. But most of these, I don't actually believe has 2.5% retinol. The Insta Naturals one lists 2.5% retinol, but based on the actual ingredient list, it looks like they're using this as marketing because it looks like their 2.5% retinol is actually a complex of retinol and bakuchiol. So it's not 2.5% retinol. It's probably more like 0.2% retinol and 2% bakuchiol. Sometimes they use a weaker form of retinol. The Inky List touted their retinol when it initially came out to be a strong retinol. I think they initially, you probably can't find it anywhere, initially marketed at 1.7 or 1% retinol. However, the trick with the Inky List retinol is they use a type of retinol called Retistar, which is actually a weaker form of retinol. It might contain 1% Retistar retinol, but when it actually breaks down to skin, it's more like 0.2% retinol. The number 7 retinol, which I reviewed not long ago, has 1.5% retinol. However, with that one, it's a combination of retinol. The amount of actual retinol in is 0.3%. The rest is bisabolol and encapsulation technology. But they advertise it as a 1.5% retinol serum. But they call it their retinol complex. So if you see 1.5% retinol, just remember, it's probably not the truth. A lot of these brands use this as their complex or their patented technology or their 5% high-strength retinol. The Shani Darden retinol initially advertised 2.2% encapsulated retinol. However, based on where retinol falls on the ingredient list for this, it's after lactic acid, which they advertise at 2%. It's impossible if they're listing the ingredients as they are supposed to be in order of strength or amount to have 2% lactic acid, but have that above 2.2% retinol. You see what I'm saying? Unless they're not listing their ingredients how they're supposed to be. I have a feeling that they're using this 2.2% retinol as their retinol complex. But the other interesting thing is these really terms, these percentages advertised, they're not really regulated by anybody. So they can get away. They could probably say, I have 100%. This is 100% retinol right here. It's just pure vitamin A. and nobody would look at it either way because it's really not regulated, especially in the US. The FDA Cosmetics Bureau, I think, has like 30 some employees. So they can't advertise and regulate hundreds of thousands of products with 30 people. So a lot of times these brands can get away with this. Let's see, another interesting one is the Sunday Riley High Dose Retinol claims 6.5% retinoid, which retinoid is, all retinols are retinoids, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's 6.5% retinol. This one actually contains a mix of retinol and retinol esters, which are traditionally known to be very weak, and then also algae. So this does not contain 6.5% retinol. It probably contains more like 0.2% retinol, and then retinol esters, and then algae is their complex. Another one, the Youth brand. They initially advertised this as a 2.5% retinol. It doesn't say anywhere in my packaging 2.5%. So I don't know if they've changed that or not, but I'm convinced this is not anywhere near 2.5% retinol. I believe this is another brand with their retinol complex that contains retinol, aloe, and hyaluronic acid. So the actual amount of retinol in here is probably more like 0.3% or 0.4%. So the devil with these is really in the details. There's another one, the Dr. Brandt 2% retinol complex serum. It's another brand that makes it sound like it's 2% retinol when it's actually their retinol complex, which is not all retinol. I will say there's probably one that is actually true, and that is the Peter Thomas Roth PM Retinol Fusion. This one is actually higher strength. It looks like it is 1.5% retinol, but it's still not 2% or 3%. 1.5% is still strong. But if you notice, especially with these no-name brands, Instant Naturals, Liliana Naturals, Eva Naturals, Oliver Skin, you'll never hear people reviewing it saying, oh my gosh, this irritated my skin, it was very drying, or wow, this really helped with my wrinkles. Most of the people say it was hydrating, it didn't irritate my skin, and it was fine. But it was nothing that blew them away. Because generally, they're not 2.5% retinol, or 5%, or 6.5% retinol. So if you are somebody that frequently asks, what is a strong retinol I can get? I will mention, if you're in the US, Adapalene is the next high up step. And then the next thing worth considering is Retinol, a Retinol serum. Retinol is stronger than retinol. Geek and Gorgeous has a great one. Their A-Game, Avene, Medik8. There are lots of different retinol products worth checking out. They're all pretty great. So if you're somebody that's always looking for the next high strength thing, consider Retinol, consider Differin, Adapalene, or consider Tretinoin. They're all going to be higher strength. I just don't believe that, aside from the Peter Thomas Roth one, that any of these high strength ones actually have anywhere near what they say they do. Probably most of them are probably around like 0.5% retinol, and then the rest of it is a complex. But then again, they can advertise whatever the heck they feel like, because there's really, in general, unless it gets hugely popular, there's really not going to be any regulatory authorities that come down and check their advertising of it, or check that they say that what's in there is in there. And then most of the time, the devil is in the details. It's a retinol complex. It's a Retistar retinol. It's a retinol ester. It's not really pure retinol, because if it was, 5% would probably be far more irritating than Adapalene would be, or Retin-A, things like that. So whenever you look at skincare products, always keep a critical eye out, because most of everything on this box, except the ingredient list, it's all marketing to get you to buy it. And none of it is really regulated by anybody. So those are my thoughts on it. I had to do a rant because I get asked it so often. And I also hear about these brands that most people have never heard of advertising it. A lot of times they sell just on Amazon or things like that, and they don't do what they say they're going to do. There's nothing wrong with 0.3% retinol. It's great. If it works, it's great. You don't need the highest strength to get the best benefits. Generally, as long as what your skin can handle without being irritated works, that's great. You don't always need to be going to the next highest thing, but some skin is not very sensitive, and some can have great results with prescription retinoids or retinol or Adapalene, things like that. So just keep that in mind. And anyway, those are my thoughts. Keep a keen eye out when you hear this. If you hear something like 6.5% retinoid, just know it's not 6.5% retinol because it would probably burn your face off. Anyway, okay, so those are my thoughts on that topic. I'm interested in hearing from you guys what comments or questions you have. So leave them below, and I will see you guys more tomorrow. Okay, thanks so much, guys.